A refreshing evergreen forest in southeast Arizona is home to one of the rarest animals in all of North America, and you won't find it anywhere else in the world. These are the Pinaleño Mountains near Safford, Arizona. They are home to the Mount Graham red squirrel, which lives in a green oasis high above the mountain's base. Fewer than 300 remaining red squirrels inhabit this sky island environment.
It is a small animal, could fit in the palm of your hand, but it is an incredibly hardy animal that has been left behind on Mount Graham above 10,000 feet for about last 10,000 years, since the last ice age.
We have red squirrels in the White Mountains, but that's a different subspecies, and this subspecies is only found on Mount Graham.
The territorial squirrels claim an area where they build a nest on a tree. They also use a handy storage facility on the ground. It's called a midden, M-I-D-D-E-N.
If you look, it's real spongy, and that's just the buildup of cones over time.
Tim Snow is a wildlife specialist with the Arizona Game and Fish Department. He's familiar with the squirrel structures on the mountain.
It feeds on pine cones mostly. It'll gather a cone, it removes the scales become the midden, and the midden acts as a refrigerator for pine cones. So the squirrel buries pine cones when they're green, they come back and dig them up and get to the seed. They like the denser, shadier habitat. That's exactly what they're looking for, because if you think about it, the sun's going to bake that midden and heat it up, and it won't be effective.
The squirrels have survived despite predators such as the Mexican spotted owl and other raptors. The past few decades have been especially challenging. Last century, humans introduced another type of squirrel to the area that can compete with the red squirrel. They also erected the Mount Graham International Observatory in the 1990s, established campgrounds and other recreational areas for the public, and built roads for easier access.
Controversy with the scopes was just loss of habitat again. It's a small footprint, so it's not like, oh, that's going to wipe out all the squirrels that are ever there. But certainly, anytime you take a development and you take away the habitat, then you're piecemealing that, and so it's slowly, you're taking a chunk at a time.
Presently, the biggest threat to the red squirrel's habitat is fire, a threat made worse by drought and insect infestations that are weakening and killing trees. Fires can wipe out thousands of acres in a matter of days, as they did in 1996 and again in 2004.
We've lost much of that high-quality habitat.
John Kaprowski is a wildlife and conservation management professor at the University of Arizona and an expert on squirrels.
On Mount Graham, individuals survive not even quite 2 years, and they only reproduce once in their lifetime. So they're kind of like salmon that swim upstream and end up only reproducing once. And as a result, the population size is relatively small, and their ability to respond to changes in the environment is not, there's not a very quick response time.
A pilot breeding program at Phoenix Zoo's Conservation Science Department hopes to make a difference in the future.
So this is Meryl. She's a female that we acquired for the Mount Graham red squirrel.
Stuart Wells and his team are trying to learn as much as possible about the little animals to see if captive reproduction will be possible. When will females be receptive, for example? Will they get pregnant and produce offspring in an artificial setting?
Our goal is to establish a consistent breeding program in case they need to augment the wild population of Mount Graham red squirrels as if that population continues to decline.
It hasn't been easy so far. The squirrels are rodents, but they are nothing like rabbits or mice. Don't even think about keeping them in the same cage together. In the wild, each squirrel has a distinct territory which they protect.
So one of the challenges of managing these animals in this setting is to try and maintain that important territoriality, but at the same time, we need to figure out when is the best time to put them together to get a successful breeding. So one of the things we have to consider is the health and safety of the animals that we're caring for.
The zoo has recorded one breeding, the first in the world, but no babies up to this point.
I'm going to go ahead and let the female into the tunnel, and we'll see what happens. And then once you have your sheet going, we'll start the vocalizations.
Still, scientists say with the Mount Graham red squirrel and other imperiled animals, the clock is ticking, so a dedicated research process is vital.
Some of these animals come with very little information about how they breed or how to care for them. So that's one of the benefits that we have, is being able to work those kinds of things out. And producing an animal that can survive in the wild is probably one of the best feelings that we have, and putting life back into its natural habitat. So I think that's what drives all of us here.